Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 41 of LostinTranslationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
This week we watched Brave Evolution, Exuvimon.
Or Davis Cries Wolfmon.
And we also watched When a Digivice is Seeped in Darkness.
Wait, seeped?
Seeped?
Okay, but then mine says tainted
It's
by.
the same thing.
That is a word, I knew that.
This is the
Is
translation.
it not steeped?
No, it's be seeped. If something seeps in.
No, but you wouldn't be seeped in. Something seeps in.
Well, it's just the translation I got from the Digimon wiki.
Maybe this is a word it's so not commonly used. Anyway,
yeah. No,
whatever.
Tainted by is fine.
Or Genesis of Evil. I'm looking that up. Or whatever.
The first episode that we're going to be watching this week is called Davis Cries Wolfmon, or Brave Evolution Exuvimon. What do you think will happen in this episode?
Okay, so I guess usually with a joke title like this, I almost think that like Wolfmon is a reference to something, but I guess there's just a thing called Wolfmon, which is going to be weird. But I mean, if you're using weird terms like Garurumon, I guess there was always a chance that Wolfmon could exist. It's really what it should have been called. Exuvimon. Here's a question: is X as in EX or just the letter X, or is it XV as in two letters?
It's XV. I'm not going to tell you anything more.
No,
than
I'm
that.
just asking how you spell it. So is it XV dash?
Well, that's the Japanese title, so it's Exuvimon.
How would you spell it? Is it XV dash mon? I just want to know how to spell something.
It's the letter X.
Awesome. Okay. I mean, it doesn't actually mean anything to me because I don't know. I get the weird sense that we're getting, instead of just it being Vemon's regular evolution, and it should be. God, Vemon has 1 million evolutions. It's really unfair to everyone else. After this episode, he'll have 2 more evolutions than everyone else. Besides TK being weird and laggy, did anyone get really, really far ahead in season 1? No one got Mega before the next person got, like, adult.
Yeah, well, this is a new evolution. Like, maybe
I know, but
changing the rules on that.
What I mean is he's 2 evolutions ahead of all the other characters.
Well, remember, Yamato and Taichi got War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, like, and there was still 20 episodes left of the season or something.
That's true, but they were only 1 step ahead of everyone else, and the fact they could always have just, like, caught up with 1. But he has, like, his weird gold Daisuke has his weird gold Digi-Egg and whatever this evolution is.
Yes, but the gold Digi-Egg is always interpreted as a one-off thing. You have to activate it. You have to get, like, a new one every time. It kind of, like, explodes after use.
I've seen no evidence of that. In fact, I've seen the evidence that the angels can just give it to you.
Just take it that it's a one-off thing that you can only use once.
If only the show said anything about it. Sure. So, with that in mind, let's see. I'm going to hazard the guess that we're finally seeing the regular evolutions because I don't want a new weird system evolution. They don't need it. They've left this avenue open. It would be really weird if they opened up a new one again.
Right.
Also, they've introduced crests. So those will probably start showing up eventually. Maybe not in this episode, but eventually.
Do you think, but when these crests do potentially show up, do you think there'll be new ones, or do you think they'll just get, the crest of sincerity and love or whatever?
Well, we know the kids have. Oh no, they can't give them crests because they'll have to have 2, and that'd be super weird. I don't know. If they do introduce them, much in the same way that Ken has his, they're going to be just the normal ones. They're not going to introduce weird new ones. And I say this with confidence, a majority, because the posters on your room don't have weird additional symbols next to those kids.
So you think that they'd get one of them? Do you think they'll get the one that they just got for free, or do you think it'll be the one that actually they had to activate?
I think that it should be the one it's not got for free. It's the one that's more natural to them.
I call it for free. I think it's more natural to their Digimon than to them.
Well,
except for Armadillomon, who's dumb.
No, like it makes sense. The only one that wasn't natural was Yolee's, and that's because she was forced because she's a girl. Because
right.
You can't have the crest of your love if you're not a girl. It's pink. You'd be allergic to it.
And what do you think Exuvimon will look like?
God, I don't know. I feel like he should just be a big stretched out version of Vemon because that's what they all are. He might have. It'd be cool if he had two sets of arms, but that's really just a guess in the wind here.
Right.
I really think it should be the step from Agumon to Greymon. It just gets way bigger.
Yeah, so it'll be like the usual ones, basically just stretch the
Except that
Digimon.
instead it's Machop to Machamp.
So do you think it'll be a good episode?
Well, last time Davis evolved his Digimon was pretty bad, and the one before that was pretty bad.
No, you liked the ones.
The Gold Digi-Egg doesn't count.
I'm going to disagree with you. You liked all three of those episodes.
I hated the one where he said, "I'm your friend."
No, no. Oh, I thought you were talking about the last few episodes that you watched.
No, I'm saying the last time he evolved it, like that was an actual evolution he can do consistently.
Oh, right.
And also the first time was not very good. I
Well, the
don't.
first one was just the first episode.
Yeah, and it wasn't that good.
Okay.
So he has a really bad track record. So no, I don't think this is going to be that good. And also because we have no, it's beginning a new arc, so it has no like emotional investment from me beforehand. So it's an uphill battle.
Right. And what do you think you'll rate it?
Um, like a 4?
Wow, so pretty
Not
low
optimistic.
total. Right, not optimistic. The second episode that we're going to be watching this week is called Genesis of Evil, or When a Digivice is Seeped in Darkness. What do you think will happen in this episode?
I guess we'll get the backstory on how Ken became the Digimon Emperor. That seems fairly straightforward. Because you've told me like he puts the Digivice into like a lake or something.
I think that might be in the WonderSwan game actually, because it was in the synopsis when I was reading the WonderSwan game synopsis to you.
I think it was.
Do you think the WonderSwan episodes will be referenced a lot in this episode, or not at all, or
It
what?
will be this. These might be the episodes. Wait, does Rio show up in this season, or was that from a different one?
Sort of.
They're just in the background. You mentioned.
Yes.
So I think these will be this episode. He might actually show up in the background, and I won't recognize him because he didn't. He's not that recognizable.
But yeah, he's a normal like character model. He's got brown hair. It's kind of spiked. He wears a jumper. That's about it.
He needs goggles.
Yeah, well, he's not technically a chosen child, sort of, because he doesn't actually have a Digimon.
No, he does. It's just Millennium Mono, isn't it?
Oh, well, yeah, towards the end, but at the stage
No, but like
that
he was chosen. Absolutely, he just didn't know exactly the details.
well, he never had his own Digivice, because in the first game he was using Agumon and Taichi's Digivice, and then in the next one he had Vmon before he met Daisuke. It's all very confusing.
This is borrowing people's stuff. He sounds like such a fan fiction character.
So, how do you think this episode will be addressed if it does talk about the WonderSwan games in English? Like, do you think they'll just like cut out lots of bits of story?
I would not put it beyond the English guys to like fully varnish over it and be like sort of referring to Rio's like and some friends like they're not important at all.
Right. So you think that it won't be completely cut out, but sort of.
I mean, like they're not going to remove the animation, I don't think. But at the same time, I have no confidence that they will cover it in a manner that's like consistent with the games.
Right. So do you think any of the other children will show up in this episode, or just Ken?
Oh, I mean, I think they'll be present at the beginning, and they might have like a little side story going on. I'd be weird. I think it would be weird if the episode was only about Ken and they didn't focus on anyone else at all. But at the same time, I feel like it'd be a majority, definitely.
Right. Do you think it'll be a good episode or a bad episode?
Well, I'm gonna say that it has to be good. I'm not saying that it will be, but I only know why Ken is evil because you told me and because of the games.
Yep.
If I didn't know that, this episode would have to justify why this kid is evil. It would have to do it well.
Do you think it'll justify why he's evil enough?
Well, I know the reason.
I know, but did this episode like stand alone, like ignoring the WonderSwan games?
See, like I hope it does, and I guess if I have to commit to something, I'm saying yes. It does a decent enough job, and I only say that because not everyone hates this season. I think if this episode did a bad job, this season would be a joke. I
Right.
don't think the fandom would have ever latched onto it. Because how could you like this show if it spent 20 episodes showing you this villain and he had a hilariously laughable reason for being evil?
Right. What do you think you'll rate it?
Um, I'm gonna hazard an 8, which is a 9 minus 1 point for it being so delayed.
Right.
It's a -1 for like the amount of episodes I just yelled at the screen like, why? Why is he evil?
And I guess you'd be probably wanting to quit if you didn't have, me saying no, but it Wonder games.
It would have been a struggle.
Mm. Well,
Especially the end, especially that end bit where he's like, I didn't know they could feel pain. Because if he's smart, he could have easily picked that up.
yeah. Well, I hope you think that that episode explains Ken's backstory, and I hope that you think that the first episode isn't complete rubbish.
Me too.
All right, on to the show then. Postmon Pat this week to start off. We have an iTunes review from the English iTunes store. And this is from Jonathan Svanstrom. I'm about 90% sure
Close enough.
I mispronounced that. Svanstrom. Anyway, so 5 stars.
Thank you.
Title is A Phenomenal Podcast. And Jonathan says, I started listening to this podcast when I first got my iPhone 5 2-3 weeks ago and have not been able to stop. As my title says, I really enjoy the show and would recommend it to anyone who is a fan of Digimon.
First of all, we really appreciate that. Second, it sounds like you got your phone and it has a weird bug where it won't stop playing our show.
Yeah, if you set back the iPhone date to 1970, all you can get forever played through the speakers of your iPhone is our podcast. Don't do that, by the way. Apparently it kills your phone.
Really?
Yeah, it's the news. That's why it's topical. I make a topical reference in this podcast.
No, this is the first I'm hearing of it. You can just break your phone by changing the year?
Yeah, there was this thing on 4chan saying, set your phone back to 1970. It will, look like apples from the 1970s. It'll show the old Apple logo with the rainbow. And then everyone's like, okay, because, you should definitely always believe what 4chan tells you. Mm. And apparently it turns out it just bricks your phone.
I don't understand how
legacy,
that works.
It's a legacy thing.
What do you mean?
You know how when people were like, oh, Y2K is going to disrupt all the electronic stuff because they're not
it resets
programmed.
everything to 0.
Yes, but it's like the reverse of that. Things weren't meant to be in the 1970s, so apparently it bricks your phone. I wouldn't recommend testing it.
I'm really tempted, because I'm really...
No, apparently it's unfixable by the Genius guys even.
It's so weird, just setting a number. It seems so.
So if you have something you want to
arbitrary.
kill, you can test it. But I'm not gonna.
No,
I'm not gonna doubt what I read because I'm not gonna. It apparently just bricks your phone.
It's so.
Yeah, well, it's a legacy thing.
Well, they should get rid of it. Mm. Okay, so that was a review. We really appreciate it. I pretty much get guaranteed read on the show.
Yeah, because we don't have many iTunes reviews, and it's good when we see more of them because it means we pop up more. We get high reviews. It's good. I like it. Like everything, it makes me happy. So on to With the Will, we have Chuckmon, who posted saying what they love about Hurricane Touchdown, which is, it's interesting that this film was entered into some kind of anime art festival, given its whimsical style. It's almost like an artsy type film that just happened to have Digimon. It's pretty unique, and I would agree that it is definitely artsy.
I think the Summer Wars is similar, because it was also artsy and it was very interesting looking, and it was just better. Yeah,
our war game was definitely better. Wait, do you mean our war game?
I do mean our war game.
Yeah, our war game was better than this, but I don't hate it. But I think they could have fixed a lot of things. I felt there was too much, too many parts that just nothing was happening.
So I think what I just want to address here is the term artsy, in which on one hand you've got artsy as in look at this really beautiful animation, this weird aesthetic style of the digital world, and everything's in these really stark colors, and you're juxtaposing that against the real world and the faces on the screens, and you're sort of doing this interesting interaction with stuff. Versus artsy in Hurricane Touchdown being, ooh, we reversed the colors. Ooh, we're playing a weird crappy jazz music on the side. And it's not it's a lot less respect. Artsy feels more like a hand-waving term with that movie to replace the word good.
I think it's the modern art, but it's a bit abstract. It's very abstract.
In a bad way.
I mean...
It's still a piece of media trying to convey a story, and if that gets in the way of your story, it's not good.
Chapman continues to say they also like Hurricane Touchdown because they enjoy seeing the Japanese take on the High Plains regions of the US. I'm assuming that the land type is not common in Japan. The vastness of open spaces and the landscape animation is beautifully mixed with the jazz tunes. It reminds me a bit of Cowboy Bebop. I like the overall presentation of the landscape and backgrounds, and the character designs, while a bit weird, blended well. I like the style overall, but wouldn't want it to be the stylistic vernacular for the franchise. I just appreciate this movie for the one shot that it is.
That's fair, I guess. I don't really know that much about America's landscape.
Yeah, neither do I. But like, I see what you're saying. Like, it's a take on somewhere that's not Japan, and we've only ever seen Digimon being in Japan. So it's interesting to get that look. Chakmon continues to say, for whatever reason, I think Iori has a really cute animation look in Hurricane Touchdown, softer. It offsets his personality a bit and gives you a different look on Iori. Digidestined, formerly known as Matt, is a reference to the artist formerly known as Prince.
Did we just not mention that?
Yeah,
I knew that.
Yeah, we didn't mention that.
Oh, because just a lot of the stupid jokes, I just assume they're really obvious.
Yeah. No, I got it too. I just think it's still a bit silly because nobody knows what Digidestined is.
Alternatively, yeah, that's really what we primarily commented on. But alternatively, it is the artist formerly known as Goldust.
Yeah, but no one knows wrestling jokes.
It's 1998. It's not that long ago.
Nobody answered my question when I said, do any of our listeners know much about wrestling?
The answer then is no.
Yeah, so no. We should stop talking about wrestling because I think the only two people who know about wrestling that listen to this podcast are you and myself.
I don't listen to this
You're
show.
listening to it technically now, and I listen to it when I'm editing.
I only listen to half of it right now.
Yeah, the bits where you're speaking.
No, the bits where you're speaking, I don't listen to me.
Chakmon says that the made in Japan is really great guy is really funny, and it's possibly a take on an otaku, like a weeaboo who goes all like, yeah, Japan.
That was exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah. I thought you said it was like he really likes Japanese cars.
Oh, he does. But it's only an example of all the other stuff he likes in Japan.
So if I meet Japanese people, I'm going to like, Japan is really great! Because I like Japan. Chakmon continues to say, was Daisuke protective of Hikaru and Miyako because of a cultural bias, where he wanted to protect the girls from the American boy?
No, not at all.
I can understand that.
No, it had nothing to do with the culture. It had to do with that he's an asshole.
And he wants to be top dog.
He wants all the girls, and he doesn't want, like... That you can tell by the way he fights TK about stuff. If this was completely unique and he didn't care about TK being close to Karu, then okay, I get it. But we've seen plenty of examples of him being super weird when anyone gets close to the girls. To Hikari at least, and obviously that sphere of protection was extended outwards.
The crying scenes in the woods makes me think that Daisuke or Davis might be a bit bipolar. That would quite explain a bit about his character. The moment was totally butchered in the dub, however, and Daisuke has moments of depth, but they're so inconsistent that people just wanted to dismiss them altogether. Davis helps foster that attitude. Yeah,
Davis does a lot of damage to this character, but I think they reasonably well justify the reason he's upset. It just doesn't make sense to the degree to which he's upset. And he does get over it very quickly, but at the same time, I'm not sure bipolar is a diagnosis we can throw at a character for a single scene like that. And by and large, he's quite consistent in the show. He's just god-awful. Consistently.
Chakmon says that the setting in the movie was very vexing. Having a Japanese take on America has interesting inaccuracies. Wallace is from New York. The dub makes Summer Memory be in Colorado, which would make sense, as when Daisuke and Wallace are traveling in the interstate highway, the sign says South Dakota. Maybe the English put in Colorado because Miyako, Daisuke and Iori initially flew to Denver to tighten up the distances. My impression has always been that they were in the high plains, not the Rockies, in like Nebraska, the Dakotas, or something like that. I'm from New England and never really travelled the interior of the US, so I have no idea. There were canyons in the fight scenes, so they had to be maybe in the Rockies. Anyway, I just love the Japanese take on the part of the USA in this movie. It's windswept, vast and empty, and the music makes it feel lonely.
Why is Wallace's... I don't get why does Wallace's mom let him travel interstate alone?
The kids go to from Japan to America. That's
with no money.
With no money and no parents.
At least there are more of them, right?
Yeah.
There are more of them, and some of their parents know. Actually, no, these are the new. No, Hikari and TK's parents know that they can take care of themselves because they have like unholy beasts looking after them.
I think that...
But Wallace is alone.
I think that I watched this thing once, and it was how the Japanese have their kids from a very early age, like just walk to like class to like the schools by themselves. They might like go on public transport all the way like to out like some kids live hours away from their school, and there'd be like these little 6-year-olds taking the train to school. It's just what they do in their culture. So maybe in Japan they also think that other cultures are the same, where they just let their 11-year-olds go across the city just to
There's
go
a
to school.
huge difference between going across the city to just traveling down to Colorado.
Yeah, well, I think his mum's also quite worried. He's on the phone to her a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, but it's not. They never sound like concerned. He's just like, yes, I'm going to the summer memory.
Yeah, but he's also always calling her, and maybe that calms her a bit.
That's
but
possible.
I do think it's also the fact that the
Oh
Japanese...
no, she knows she has a Digimon.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. So he probably says, Terriermon will look after my son.
Yep.
Chuckmon says that armor evolutions are a dumb gimmick
Yeah!
to disable the Season 1 kids so only the 0-2 kids could act. Jay had better points than May, but my Digi-heart always agrees with May in the end, even if Digimon sucks. I find things I still love about it and harp on that. Jay's right, though. The armor evolution type is getting boring, and where armor evolutions fall into this hierarchy of Digivolution, it's too loosely defined.
Ah, the king of the Digimon Rumble 2 times in a row. I assume this is the consensus.
No, I'm great.
No, but you would have... Did you get the feedback?
No, I'm great. Chuckmon finishes with saying, I really try to love the crest concept in Digimon as aspiring characteristics, but the Digimantles of fate and miracles are just too much. Way too convenient to force a desired outcome, plus too much gold.
I agree, first of all. And second of all, I think that idea broke with LiT. Like, we always knew that...
Yeah, that's pretty vague.
The crests were just like... The crests all made sense, then they introduced LiT. It's like, haha, it's just whatever. It could be anything. LiT, you know. We got an email from John Summers that says that episode 40 was fun to listen to, and they tell me that they feel sorry that I had to endure both the Japanese and English versions on my birthday. I didn't watch them on my birthday. I watched them before we recorded on my birthday.
No, I think you might have finished. I think you might have watched the English one on your birthday.
Oh, that's
because we recorded earlier.
That's
remember?
quite possible.
Yeah, you still have to. You probably had to watch something for your birthday.
That's true, and that is upsetting. But it's not as bad as you thought it was. We generally watch in advance of recording, except today. I watched almost everything today.
But that's because you were busy, and we're also recording early again because we have a thing tomorrow.
So they say that Season 1 characters are sidelined again, and every character except Wallace and Daisuke are supporting characters and don't do much. To the extent where he already talks about it. Man, I wish he had better animation.
Yeah, because he just sort of shows up. I still like to think that he's just saying Digimon looks bad compared to the other Digimon.
And he says that the music's really unfitting in the action scenes. And I agree, you're doing the big evolutions for everyone, and you're going ding ding dun 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 dun, like in the background. It's garbage. They say that there are some good elements, like Wallace and his relationship with his Digimon, and how the movie wrote Daisuke as an actual character instead of just a hot-blooded vegetable. I agree. A potato. Daisuke, the hot potato. Yeah, I agree. I liked Wallace and Terrimon's relationship. I kind of wish they'd travel to... I really would be cool with them traveling along as like a 6th Digidestined.
Me too. No, swap out. Leave Davis in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Wallace. I like his Digimon. I find the fact that he has 2, even though it's it still sounds a little bit fanfiction-y, it's fine. I like the relationship because it seems troubled, and a fanfiction-y Mary Sue would never be troubled.
It's only fanfiction-y because he was like the main character. If he was part of the group and his thing was that he had 2. And he had like a different management thing, and they're kind of twins, so it's not like completely unfair. And also like Davis and Co are getting 2 Digi-Eggs each. It's not totally unheard of. So I think it's fair. I think that would have been really interesting. But no, apparently he's gone forever, pretty much.
Until Davis falls in love with the Digimon.
Hot potato.
The hot potato
so
falls
in love with the Digimon?
I said this last time. There was this the next time Wallace is ever in a Digimon, the only other time, is in a CD drama called The Doors to Summer, where Mimi and Davis and Willis are in New York, and they meet a girl, and she turns out to be a Digimon. Plot twist, but Davis is in love with her.
Oh, excellent.
And she's looking for her owner, and it's so Davis falls in love with the Digimon. The plot. I love the CD dramas. They give me hope.
So, John Thomas Gazan said that actually ignores some rules they've put in place, like how Padawan and Tailmon can get to Ultimate, which at this point in the series, they can't evolve past Adult. Yeah, didn't I not say that in the show?
Yeah, no, that's
They got rid of the crests and everything, the tags and crests.
Well, we
and stuff.
don't know that yet.
But you told me that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, only because I had to explain a thing
But
to you.
they warp evolved and everything.
Yeah. So this movie's probably not considerably canon.
Oh well, and they just generate Digi eggs because they're one-time use.
Yeah.
They have to generate them because I thought it was they were just like releasing them, or because they decided now is a good time, but they have to generate. Degenerate them. It also explains how the kids get to travel alone in America when the series tells us that their parents wouldn't even let them go camping without Mr. Ishida. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I totally forgot they needed adult supervision to go camping. And they had no money.
To be fair, Zero Two is and we'll get into more of what I mean in this episode. Zero Two is breaking a lot of rules that they have previously put in place, either this season or last season.
I think this is the worst one though, because they totally addressed the fact that it wouldn't work in this season.
Yeah.
Like, all the stuff they kill in these 2 episodes, and they break some stuff, is all from season 1, and can be forgotten by the children watching it.
But this was literally like less than 10 episodes ago.
No, we have no money was in the movie.
Yeah, well, no.
And even if they say
it was in the dub,
even if they say they use frequent flyer miles, they still had to like pay money to go places and get food and stuff.
And where they accommodation?
No, they didn't. And they never did. They slept in the truck. Also, they got kidnapped by the pizza guy. Finally, that the events in the movie are not referenced again. What was the point? Well, I mean, the point was to make a movie, and that's a filler arc. That's how they work. You know what? I think the one thing I really like, it pains me to say it, but that I really like about Digimon is they don't do filler arcs. They do filler episodes.
Yeah.
But there's none of this Naruto like, okay, the next 12 episodes don't matter.
Yeah, they never do that.
Or Bleach was the worst with it. I'm sure I've talked about this on the show before, but Bleach had like a signal to you where this is a filler arc, because there was one character who had powers that were different to the rest of them. They were all like death gods or whatever, and he was like a death god hunter who turned good. And at the beginning of every filler arc, he would lose his powers because they can't write him into any story that makes sense for the rest of them to have. And he would have his own side stories, and then the filler arc is over, he'll come back, and something will have happened right at the end that will increase his powers to match the increase everyone else got to overcome whatever fight they were having. Every time. I swear there were like 5. And like he got a good pep talk from his grandfather, who was also a hunter. He got like an amulet one time. Every time it was an excuse.
So do these shows just have hundreds of episodes because they just put in filler arcs?
Filler arcs, as far as I'm aware, is that there is a manga, and the manga
they catch up.
And they catch up, and that's how that happens.
Usually they just go off in a different path in the animes and stuff.
Oh, that's what Fullmetal Alchemist did, and then everyone hates that.
And Hellsing did it too, and Evangelion.
And they end up having to do a whole new series, like, oh yeah, by the way, this is how it really goes.
But I think Hellsing people liked, Evangelion people did not.
I don't know what happened with Evangelion. Just like, is that how the anime actually?
I think the manga actually is taking after what happened in the movie of so the manga's actually copying from the movie, or maybe the.
You mean End of Evangelion?
Yeah.
But that's canon at the same time. That's just the stuff that was happening outside of the terrible animation. And dream sequence.
I liked the alternate universe one, but we're not here to talk about other animes and not Digimon. I like Hyperactive Ray and I like perverted Gendo Ikari.
It's so stupid. It's so bad. And that so the point was that it's filler. The point of this movie was to somehow address that Diaboromon was Willis's fault, despite him not actually doing very much to help.
Yeah, well, they wanted to tie in the movies.
It's so weird. In Japanese, this movie is just bad, and in English, this movie like ruins the other one by making it about this movie. And we got sorry, not Andrew. I'll cut to that. So I got an email from Andrew that says they find it strangely fitting that XVmon. Is that how it's spelled in English?
Yes.
That's weird. He used to be a Vmon. He is
in English, he'd always be Vmon, as in VEE, and then in the Japanese version, he'll just be letter V.
This This Vmon is dead. It is an ex-Vmon.
Yeah.
Evolution episode happens the way it does because it's just the show continuing to shit on Davis.
Because no one cares. Like, he's screaming and saying, help me, and everyone's like, no, except for Iori.
Yeah, but Iori's like, he's not protecting Davis, he's protecting the Digimon he was teaching Kendo.
Yeah, so this episode is basically no one actually cares about Davis.
You'd think that the new kid's Digimon finally being on a Digivolt's a champion would be a big important affair, but X-Vimon debuts in a subpar filler episode that seems even worse because it randomly sandwiched between what I think are the two best and most important episodes in the season. Oh god, this episode is so bad. Well, we'll get there.
I'm nodding.
Thank you. So Jason says in their email that personally they like Ophanimon and Holy Dramon, though Ophanimon more so than Holy Dramon. However, when it comes to adventure specifically, they think that Holy Dramon fits the particular Gardamon more, though they fully admit that it's because they were shown to be Omega in Hurricane Touchdown movie, and they're a stickler for consistency. Outside of adventure, though, they rather Ophanimon to be Gardamon's Mega every time. So I get that. It's like, well, that's what it looked like the first time, but then you learn it could be something else. You're like, that makes more sense.
I still like the dog dragon, the dog cat angel dragon.
It's the one from the Neverending Story.
Yeah.
I don't remember its name because I never saw that movie. I just know of it.
It was also a TV show, I think, but yeah.
We got an email from Spa, and they say that Jay argued the point better.
It's okay to be wrong.
They used to like the armor evolutions because they thought they had more stamina than normal ones, as it seems they lasted longer and required less emotion power than the normal one. But now I only see them useless now Daisuke can get to adults. The only reason Daisuke wants Vimon to evolve is to get a date with Hikari. It's true, we'll get into that. This is Daisuke being weird and thirsty the whole time. Daisuke's feeling rubbed off on Vimon. He's now attracted to Gardamon, totally randomly, by the way, and dislikes Patamon now that Daisuke feels about Hikari and Takeru. Does he? I never really noticed that.
No, he
I guess in the gym, yeah,
he's a bit salty.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's just completely out of nowhere. In Adventure, the Digimon evolved to save their partner, not to get a date. If Digimon were forced to evolve, Digimon like Skullgreymon would appear. May was complaining about this all day.
Yeah, and I'm gonna complain more about it, so we shouldn't talk about it too much.
The second episode is better, and they hope that Jay likes Ken's story, and I do to an extent. Movie 3 is the worst Digimon movie. That's not true. I saw the one with the X antibody. That was really bad, and it was much longer. Which makes it worse.
I like the X Evolution one better.
And it has no like actual people in it.
Also, I think a lot of people haven't seen X Evolution, so they might be just talking about like the ones that follow a season, because that one doesn't follow a season. Yeah.
So if we're talking about Digimon movies as a whole, no. If you're talking about the three that are sort of represented in the English movie, then yes, absolutely. Would it be better if instead of Wallace, we had Ken and Wormmon evolving with the Golden Evolution? The answer is no, because Ken has a lot of stuff to work out, and it would make very little sense for him just to show up. I think this story is very clear how it needs to work with the twins and everything, because if it was just a kid whose Digimon went crazy, he'd be dead, right? And if it happened with all these other kids around, it sort of would have... I'm trying to think how you could reframe this. It's not like Armor Evolution, where you could just take it out and replace it with Normal Evolution and you have the same story. I'm trying to feel how you would change the story in the movie without drastically changing the entire movie. Because if you took out Wallace and made it Ken, now they're in Japan. If one of their Digimon goes crazy, they are no longer a character, essentially. They're just a whiner in the background while their Digimon is the bad guy and everyone else fights it. And there's no like figuring out period, they just instantly fight it.
I liked the invention of Wallace.
I think Wallace is fine. I mean, he was introduced very, very early. He was introduced a season and a half ago in English.
He was introduced in the prequel.
The first I consider that episode 0 of season 1.
I know, but the first episode you ever watched,
yes,
he was mentioned in. And you said in the first episode, when does Wallace show up? First episode.
I've been waiting over...
You were waiting 40 episodes.
Yeah, I've been waiting... No, 40 episodes of this show.
Yeah, that's what I meant. 40 episodes of this show,
which
so 40 weeks, basically.
Almost...
With 38, because we've missed 2.
That is, with movies probably counting as a few, that's like 80 episodes.
Yep.
That's a gross amount of time for a character you've talked about to show up. for their only appearance.
Yeah.
I think he was cool. Like, he had a personality that was pretty distinct. He had a Digimon who had a very distinct personality who was interesting. He had some stuff going on. They resolved it. I'm like, just go back to Japan with them. There's nothing about... He has an older Digivice though, doesn't he?
Yep.
I don't see a reason why, if a gate opens up in America, he couldn't, like, meet them occasionally in the whatchamacallit?
Digital world?
In the digital world, yeah.
I just don't think it's canon. I think he doesn't exist really in canon.
In English, he does.
Yeah.
Well, is our wargame canon?
I think that might be the first two movies. I think the most canon movies that are considered to be the most canon.
Okay.
Because
even in Japanese,
it's not straight up said what's canon, what's not. But the prequel's obviously canon because they showed it. Our wargame's canon because they have mentioned our wargame, the events of our wargame in 02. But I don't think any of the other movies have any of their events spoken about in the series.
In Japanese, Izzy has a friend in America who talks to him about stuff.
Doesn't give
He's
a
not
name.
named. But
He's
it's
just some
very
nerd.
clearly.
He's just a nerd.
It's Wallace.
But Wallace does not know Izzy.
Oh, so weird.
He doesn't. None of the because he was surprised. He thought he was the only one with the Digimon.
I forgot about that. It's so inconsistent. He was just emailing him.
I'm surprised Michael and Wallace hadn't got in touch.
Yeah, I know. Like, you'd think there's tons... This is what I was talking about. Like, statistically, if Japan has 30 million people in it, I don't actually know how many it has. Maybe it has 300 million... No, maybe it has 100 million people. Can't be more than that. Even so, America should have, like, 3 to, like, 100 more people. 100 more times more Destined.
Later on in 02, I'm going to explain to you a thing. It's going to be...
Stupid.
Why Hurricane Touchdown's not canon, but I'm going to address this in like 40 episodes time. Of Digimon, not our show, like probably 20 episodes of our time.
I'm waiting for it to be like, if he just says, yeah, my American friend Josh. My American friend, I don't know, Emily.
But yeah, so I'm sure people listening will probably guess what I'm talking about, but I'll talk about it more in like 20 episodes.
And finally, they say that they ask if Tri is going to reverse Ken's growth.
I just think I think it's just legitimately another black seed or some evil, like the infection that's infecting like Digimon infects humans as well, and that's why he's evil. I don't know.
I think that it's not going to be any of that stuff. I think it's going to be like a dream sequence.
Maybe, and that's like a red herring of something to get us, talking about who it could be.
Ooh, what's that? And it's like, oh, it's just imagining. Like, it's gonna be like a joke. Like, what if I was the Digimon Raider? Ha 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 ha. And it just pans up and he goes, that would be ridiculous. And that's the entire thing.
Yeah. The people are saying it's Joe.
Why not? He's got blue hair. We got an Anonymon who just says that Rankamon is awesome.
Yeah.
That's quality
Agreement.
content.
I agree. Rankamon is awesome.
Smile Wolfie says that even if Holydramon is a less popular opinion, they feel that Holydramon works better as Tailmon's ultimate form rather than Ophanimon. It matches the inconsistent theme of Tailmon's line, and May had an interesting point. It does have the base of a dragon, but its wings are angelic, and to me its face is canine-like, like Plotmon, and its tail at the end does look like Tailmon's tail. Not to mention its body is fully pink, matching Hikari's crest color. That is interesting, although keep in mind that an inconsistent theme is not a theme.
I like it.
That's the opposite of what a theme is.
Also, can we talk about Smile Wolfie for a second? He drew us some fan art of the self-insert.
Oh no, it was not us, it was drawing you fan art.
Yeah, well, us.
Of you.
Yeah, of me. It was great, because I haven't been able to scan it because I've been really busy. That's why we also haven't been doing much video content. I mean, we also released 3 episodes for the podcast last week. So yeah, I've been too busy to scan. But I took a few photos, and it's just then posted on Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook. I think maybe not Facebook, but definitely on Twitter. And it's just it's a genius work of literary arts. But yeah, so I just wanted to thank Smile Wolfie on the show for that, and if you want to provide us with fan art, like I'll also talk about you. I want to print it out and put it on my wall, because I like fan art. Because is it fan art though? Are they fans? They're listeners. Listener art.
If they listen consistently, then I would call them fans of the show.
Yeah, fans. Yeah, continue.
That never occurred to you?
Makes me happy.
She's getting all nervous. From Hi Lorai. They say hello.
You made that joke last time.
They say hello again. Hi Lorai. They wanted to say that Wallace is also in the WonderSwan games. He's one of the tamers that Ryo has to defeat. Also in the Tamers Medley, where they retold the card choice of Tai to get back to the human world, the card choice.
Oh yeah, you remember how when they say, okay, to get Minusmon's gate.
If Tai would have chosen to use the Agumon card instead of Gomon's, Minusmon would have appeared in California and taken Wallace as his own part. What? I would love to see that. Is that real?
Game. Tamers Medley is like this really good crossover game from the first 3 seasons.
I don't understand. What is this thing about Minusmon taking Wallace as his partner?
I don't know. I would...
But Wallace has 2 partners already.
I think it's Minusmon.
But it's destiny.
I know. I do want to play the game, but my Japanese is not so good.
James Cloudy says, how did you find the characters in Cross Wars? How did you find them tolerable? The answer is, I don't know what Cross Wars is. We haven't watched it yet. I would encourage you to resend this letter in, I think, like 2 years when we've actually covered Cross Wars, because I have no idea what that is.
So a short version, I liked Cross Wars. It was a season that I liked. I like it more than people think that more than other people like it. It's an alright season. It's probably a bit underrated for how good it is, but a lot of people just sort of they either went in with a negative view, or they didn't watch it because they thought it looked bad.
I'm looking forward to going in with a negative view.
You always do that, though.
It's gonna be great.
Anyway, continue.
And finally, Jonathan the Multi-Man says that they've had a fun time listening to our podcast, but they won't talk much about it since they did the iTunes review, which was the one we talked about earlier. Yeah. About Magnadramon versus Ophanimon. Is it called Magnadramon?
Yeah, that's the English name.
Okay. They personally think that Ophanimon is correct, since most Digimon media uses her. Some examples being Chief Glare in World Dawn. I don't know what that is.
Digimon World Dawn is
Chief Glare is a person.
It's a DS game that we didn't get.
Okay. Who has her as his partner, and then there is an Ophanimon in World 4. Duly noted. And they continue to say that they should probably mention that... we already talked about the iTunes review. Yeah,
that's the person who left the iTunes review.
I agree. Ophanimon makes more sense. The point is that the 2 angels are mirrors. They're just gendered mirrors of each other. So it makes a lot of sense. The angels are gendered mirrors of each other. And so it makes a lot more sense when Ophanimon and Seraphimon look exactly the same. Or they're both angels in big armor. So it makes a lot of sense for them to be standing next to each other. Whereas the angel in big armor next to the dragon is not quite so reasonable. Just because it used to be a girl angel. And now it's not. On
Twitter, Wu Qinglong says, you called out 02 for being sexist, but remember that Japan is a fairly misogynistic culture. Still not okay, though. But I think that's all we have on Twitter. I get drowned out a lot on Twitter, of what the notifications are, so it's harder to just grab up when we do the show. On SoundCloud, we have a message from Cloudmaster101, and this is on episode 39, which was... I only just saw it. I was only posted 7 days ago, so this is the first time we've been recording, and this has been there. Amazing work, guys. Been trying to find a Digimon podcast for a while. This is by far the best quality and most consistent in entertaining and informing at the same time. Found you yesterday, but fully caught up on your 02 adventure so far. Good luck getting through the mediocre stuff. Get ready for Tamers with their Evangelion links.
I'm sorry, wait. Is he saying that he found us yesterday, or the day before he posted this, and he caught up?
Yeah.
That is impossible. Our shows are several hours each, and we put out 40 shows. He would have had to not stop listening and not gone to sleep. And even then, I'm not sure he could have done it.
If you skipped out on the special episodes, maybe.
Maybe he just started at 02.
No, I think it would be, depends what time you discovered it and what time you sent it.
Well, either way, that is commitment that I cannot believe.
Well done.
At the same time, I am aware that you are a huge fan of Prodigious and the Digimon Rewatch and... what's the other one?
Digipodify, but it's on hiatus at the moment.
So we very much appreciate, the praise, but I don't think... Are we happy to just take that? Take the titles as most entertaining? I will.
Well, it's a matter of opinion.
Most entertaining.
Some people would find the other podcasts more entertaining.
Best quality.
I think all the Digimon podcasts are pretty different in what they provide, so it depends what you're looking for.
That's true.
Like, if you want someone to be angry about Digimon, that they watch this one.
I feel like we're the only one who readily supplies the vitriol that this show necessarily deserves. At times.
So if you want to contact us, you can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com. You can find us at LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr and Facebook. We're TranslationMon on Twitter. We have a discussion thread in the general Digimon discussion on With the Well. We have a threaded in the Digimon subreddit. That thread is just really hard to say. I'm pretty sure
it's not his real name. I made a joke.
I know, but it should be the threaded. The discussion on Reddit or whatever it's called. You can comment on this episode on SoundCloud, and you can message us on SoundCloud. And if you want to be, like, we want to have a shout out, you can review us. That'd be really cool. We'd like that. Also, provide us with fan art, and we'll be very happy. Yeah.
We would never demand fan art.
But it would be nice.
We really like it.
Davis cries Wolfmon or Brave Evolution X Vmon. The dub has lies in the previously on Digimon part. Davis says that the crest fell into Ken's hands straight after it was released from the Digi-Egg. It was released, but didn't go straight to his hands.
I did see that, but I didn't catch it because I do kind of skip past these most of the time.
Yeah, they're optional, but I find them because usually some of the time they lie in them, and they're just really not enthusiastic.
Or sometimes the narrator, whichever kid it is like has a really weird voice about it.
Or they're super enthusiastic about someone almost dying, which I think someone was about the Iori Submarimon episode. Like, we all went down and we almost died. Golly gee whiz.
Jiminy Jillikers.
When we see the silhouette of XVmon in the title card, did you notice he has really weird eyes? I know. I noticed that, and it was just, I know it gave me enjoyment. I can't speak today. I've been at work, and now I'm not wearing glasses, so I don't know what my notes say. But I'll give it a red hot go.
A good old college try. So
yep, continue.
Iori's in class, and he's reading out of a book, and in Japanese, I think it's not poetry, but it's a sad story of some description. And Ubamon is the yellow wing ball is just in his desk, which, that's a safe place to keep your Digimon, when to keep it from being discovered, just in class, where it speaks, and it says the story made him want to cry. In English, he's telling a story about a king who fired a cannon but was standing in front of it, and everyone was shocked when he died.
And it was launched across the land or something. They really describe it quite well.
Yeah, and so Ubimon's like...
Could you say it with a less depressing voice? Or
no, yeah, he said it was like a depressing story or something. I think it was implied that Iori wrote it in the second one. I think he was just reading out of a book in the first, in Japanese.
Yeah, he was reading out of a textbook.
In English, this was his original story.
Do not steal.
Miyako's in science class, and she's doing something, and she makes a mistake, and something explodes. And the pink wing ball is outside, looking at her, looking concerned. In English,
have you noticed that Bupamon doesn't have wings? Armadillomon, none of his evolutions have wings.
No, none of them do.
Except for Upamon. Can he fly? No, we've seen him fly, haven't we? Oh my god, that makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
That's why Holydramon's canon. Continue.
Oh my god. And then in your notes here, you have your Lee is more of a know-it-all, but that is distinctly not true.
No, in the dub.
It's not true.
Because she's like, I'll be here for tutoring after class if you want to.
You missed the joke then. When she goes, a little bit of something and a bit of this other stuff. No, she has no idea what she's saying. She thinks she knows what she's talking about, but she very clearly is a huge idiot.
But yes, that's why I'm saying she's more of a know-it-all.
No, but she doesn't know anything.
Yes, but she's a know-it-all, know-nothing.
Well, okay, sure. If
you can be a know-it-all and actually know nothing.
I didn't know. I assumed you had to know it all.
No, she's more of a show-off. She's like, I know this and I know this.
In that case, I've known it all my life. And so the thing explodes, and she looks kind of cool with it. Like, I guess that was gonna happen. Kari is dancing in the gym, and I assume that's the sport that's going on.
Yeah, because girls dance and the boys play basketball.
Because the boys play basketball, and they're all on basketball courts. I really get the feeling that instead all the girls were meant to play basketball, but instead they've started dancing for no reason. And so it's Tailmon and Patamon want to dance too, and in English, Patamon already knows how to dance because she taught Kari everything she knows, and thus teaches Patamon to do so.
Yeah, because Patamon goes, teach me too.
And then they just start dancing with no instruction being given. He's doing it perfectly. I think he was lying. I think he knows how to dance
He's
already.
just thirsty too.
So Demi Vmon, I forget that's what it's called. Because it's Chibimon in my head, yeah.
Yeah, I always use Demi Vmon because that's just... I often do go to the dub names purely because that's what I knew longer, and it was always Demi Vmon for me. It wasn't Chibimon.
Can we cover how Vmon's, like, regular line, all the names suck? Demi Vmon, Vmon, X Vmon.
What goes Chibomon, Chibimon, Vmon, X Vmon.
Okay, that sucks too.
No, what's worse is his alternate line, which is from V-Tamer, which is Vmon, Veedramon, Aero Veedramon, Allforce Veedramon.
That really does suck.
Better looking though. Veedramon is much better looking than XVmon.
So Daisuke and TK playing basketball, there is a lot of really annoying rivalry stuff where TK is actually really good at basketball for whatever reason.
No, we should know this. He's got basketball posters in his room. I think
Does he?
Yeah, we've got to point them out. So look at all the basketball posters.
I've never noticed.
When they went to the when they said, "Oh, let's go to the digital world," and they're all doing their nighttime stuff, and he was at his computer, and there was a basketball poster.
It's weird though because Daisuke is actually really good at spinning the ball on his finger.
Yeah.
Which is surprising because I wouldn't see him the type to have like the balance or anything to make it happen.
Well, he's a football player, so maybe he's done it with a football.
Maybe. No, actually, they're really different. I've done both.
Yeah, I'm just saying he might.
So
That's why I've got the balance. Maybe
then Daisuke tries to look cool, and Demi Vmon is cheering him on. And it seems to me that the cheering is like too much pressure for him, and he falls over. However, this begs the question of if the Digimon are yelling so loudly that in play they can hear them, why isn't everyone just looking up the monsters in the roof?
I didn't get that. I just thought he tripped over trying to look cool in both versions.
Either way, they're still yelling, and no one's looking.
I just don't think they're yelling loud enough.
Maybe.
Yeah, continue.
And then so Davis is really smug and blames his failure on the rest of his team, even though he very clearly falls over and throws the ball by accident. TK tries to help him up, and Daisuke is salty, and then he gets hit in the face by a basketball, and that felt really good. Not for him, but for me.
In the dub, since in the original this was just sort of a random hit in the face, they seem to explain it a bit more because when Davis is helped be picked up by Takeru, he says, "My team really needs to learn how to pass." And then TK replies with, "Yeah, I think they're practicing now," and then he gets a ball in the face.
May really likes Miyako's summer outfit, though I have no idea what it actually was.
Jay's reading my notes at the moment because he didn't bring his to my place.
Nope.
Because he didn't post them online onto our Google Doc. He just opened the window and left.
What is wrong with Miyako's D3?
Oh, it looked like a potato!
I didn't know.
Oh, it was the worst. They didn't draw it very well, and it was just she was holding up like this, but it was bigger than her hand. It was like...
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was just not good.
So basically, after sport and everything, all the kids go to the computer room because they're just going to the digital world, basically for no reason. And Daisuke is really impatient about it, and so apparently they activate the gate with a potato, and then they
activate it with Davis because he's a hot vegetable.
He's a hot potato. Yeah, I forgot. So they go inside and they sort of they divvy up areas of the digital world to help out, to rebuild.
Can I just talk about how Hikari and Takeru get their original clothes from earlier in the season, even though they're not wearing those clothes in the real world anymore?
I didn't notice that at all.
It's either laziness because they can't be bothered animating them being in the digital world, or it's stuck in the cache.
That's like of the digital world. That's how their clothing works. That's why when the original kids in the movie revert back in time, they get their old clothes.
Yeah, it's in the cache.
Oh, it's so weird. So they're divvying up areas to go to, and there's this really weird moment, which is super out of character for Davis, where he's like, "I'm going here," and Kari goes, "I want to go there." And he goes, "I'll rock paper scissors you for it." Wouldn't his instant reaction be like, "Okay, I'll go with you"?
But I think they have to split up because they're.
But wouldn't he suggest it, and then someone else, and then TK would be like, "Look, we really need you here," and he's like, "Oh."
I was thinking, I was expecting it too, but I think it's because they have to divvy up. They can't be together.
I know, but I want him to be more of an ass. I like. That was a really great. Sorry, I really enjoy not liking this guy now because I already don't like him. Mm-hmm. There was a really excellent Onion article today, which was conservative acquaintance, frustratingly not racist. It was about they had a liberal and conservative have a long political discussion about pretty much every topic, and they go, "It would have been really nice if he was racist, so I could just write him off as a bigot, but we just had to argue the whole time, and he was never racist once. It was unbelievable." his position on immigration was about security issues, not the Mexicans. I don't know what I have to do with my life now. So yeah, they go out and they help. So you can essentially cut to montage of like Digimon building stuff.
You're missing when before they're all like talking about divvying up. And there are like shots of what the Digimon are doing in each of the areas, and there's just music playing in the original. They always have to add in dumb, stupid lines in the dub. So, for example, the Gotsumon are like picking up rocks and like putting them back and like organizing them. So one of the Gotsumon says, "Don't leave any stone unturned, even if it's your cousin."
Or I think there's a what's it called, a Gekomon telling Bakimon like, okay, move the log this way.
Yeah. We also have the Red Vegemon and Gazimon, who, interestingly, for the first time, aren't evil. We've always seen the Gazimon being pretty evil, and same with Red Vegemon.
No, Gazimon were black-ringed earlier, and they freed some of them, and they were good then.
I know, but that was still, like, bad for Edamon, because they are...
They were evil last season, but in this season, they've been shown to be good earlier.
I think it's mainly every Digimon is good in this season.
Yeah, I think because, like... It was really weird that even evil Digimon got black-ringed, but like they were evil already. They would have...
It's not so much it makes you evil, it makes you obey the Kaiser.
No, it made them evil. Like, in a lot of cases, they would be cruel. Like, when the Gekomon got black-ringed, they started chasing you, and were like, I'm going to kill you. You wouldn't say that. You would just go and do it.
The Red Vegemon calls what is obviously probably curry, tuna surprise without tuna, because that's a surprise.
It's a virgin rum and coke.
Yeah, and then they decide where they're going to split up. And the Digimon in the dub are talking during the helping out montage.
Oh, it's really cute that, Armadillomon goes where the food is, because, like, I'm really hungry, and he realizes, I can't eat while I'm working. I'm so
and he's
tired.
so sad. But I think it works better in the original.
Oh, yeah, it always...
it always does.
Because they're very expressive scenes, and you don't need weird dialogue distracting you from what's going on, because you know what's going on.
It always perplexes me that the children don't tell their Digimon to evolve to their armor forms.
I agree with you, because we covered in the letters, the armor forms last a lot longer.
Yeah.
Like, to the extent where I guess the movie's not canon, but Raidramon can just run for ages and be really useful. You're right. It's not like, it's not situational at all. You can just Digimental up whenever you want.
Yep.
And they've got food available. They could just do it constantly.
And, they're not under any danger, so they don't have to... Because when they're fighting the Kaiser and they say, we can't evolve now, we have to make sure we're stronger for when we're needed.
There's nothing to save it for at this stage.
So they can just use up their power. Numemon poops in the way of Daisuke's group.
So I felt like there was about to be a slight bit of animation after that. Like, the poop is like a cement.
Yeah, and
But they just poop for no reason.
Is this cut in the English version?
I believe so.
I don't remember there being poop.
I only remember it happening the once. Because it's completely inexplicable. Like, there's just random poop for no reason.
Yeah, because it's poop. It's a poo joke. Get it? It's a poo joke. Patamon and Takadu are running up to Hikari and Talmon, and Gatomon in the dub says, Patamon, is a dog chasing you? I know, I find that really funny. I know it's because she's a cat, but she references being a cat a lot.
But, like, a dog doesn't exist in the digital world.
Dogmon does.
Yeah, but just a dog. And she wouldn't be scared of Dogmon. She'd kick the crap out of it.
Yeah, and Dogmon's ugly. Or Doggymon or whatever it's called.
Doggymon.
So Takadu is wondering why they still can come to the digital world, even when they're not needed anymore. And I'm just like, I don't think anyone's ever said that they can't go to the digital world unless they're needed.
I latched onto the exact same thing, where I don't really understand where that concept came from. I think it might, from TK's perspective, come from the fact they all got kicked out of the digital world at the end of Adventure. But because the D3s are different, and the digital gate's different, and also time works the same way now, it's synced up, I don't think that there's any reason for that to be the thing. If there was a Genai around who said, okay, by the way, you can only be here when you're needed, that makes sense. But
I am like 90% sure this is only just for plot to say that there's something else there. It's not actually meant to make sense, because Ken was able to get... Ken is a chosen child, but he was able to get to the digital world.
Years ago,
when there was obviously no threat, except for Millenniumon.
I'm really confused, actually, at what time Ken showed up originally.
Oh no, we know this. It's
wouldn't it have been around
a year
the time...
and a half It's during our war game. It's like just after our war game.
Oh, okay.
So it's a year and a half.
Because by his age difference between, and we'll talk about it more then, but I just want to mention it now. By his age difference between his first time in the digital world and now, I really thought he would be around when the Dark Masters were happening. Like, he's like, why is everything up a spiral mountain? What's happening? And Wormmon's like, we got this.
Daisuke and Vemon are talking, and Daisuke is wondering why Hikari and Takeru get along so well. It's because they've known each other since they were 8, for starters. Like,
did they only meet when they were 8?
Yes. No one knew them when they were like 5.
Okay.
Like, it's not said if they met any time after, but in the prequel, no one knew each other.
That's fine. Either way, they've known each other for years. First of all, they've known each other for years. They've gone through adventures before.
They almost died that time in like
That's true.
The third last episode.
And also, TK's never been a huge potato.
Yeah, he has personality. And in the dub, Vemon suggests that they're identical twins.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was very weird.
That makes very little sense.
I don't know what was going on there. When Davis is remembering what had happened during the basketball game, for some reason Kari says, "I love you, TK," in that exact voice, because they had to force her to say that instead of Takeru, and they repeat it, so it looks like she's saying more words.
Because her mouth flaps wouldn't add up. That's so weird.
Yep, they have to make more, because it was like Takeru-kun or something in the original. Vemon is for some reason jealous too.
As we are introduced for the first time this is episode 22.
Yeah.
22 episodes later. And we introduced to the Davis thing first episode. Vemon likes Gardamon for some reason.
I think the effect rubbed off.
Here's a question. Can Digimon be romantically involved?
Yeah.
How? They don't reproduce. They just die and become eggs. No one lays those eggs.
Yeah, they can still fall in love if they want to.
Is there a Digimon couple at any stage?
Arguably, Wizardmon was in love with Tailmon.
They were friends. They were gal pals. No, but for serious, like they were friends.
Yeah, but there are Digimon couples later on. There's Gigimon and Barbamon.
Okay, Grandpa and Grandmamon.
Yep.
Okay.
They're a couple.
I feel like that's not that they're couples. That's just a weird animal instinct.
Daisuke says that they have to work together to make Vemon do something cool so they can get closer to Hikari and Tailmon.
That's so disgusting.
Bear in mind, they say get closer. They don't necessarily say go out with. In the dub, it's just straight up like, so they can fall in love with us.
And he's like, I should maybe learn to dance.
Yeah, that was Vemon. Vemon wants to dance for some reason. But in the dub, he wants to be a better dancer to impress Gardamon. And Daisuke wants to be better at basketball instead of just being better in general. I mean,
so
Davis wants to be better at basketball rather than Daisuke, who wants to just be better in general. Daisuke says the only way to do this is to evolve to adult, and he wants him to become Ultra Andromon, which is was a reference from like an older episode. And we see this really badly drawn, like...
Which of the producers' kids do you think drew that?
Okay, it's either a producer's kid or they did a contest and they said, draw a Digimon. Because in Digimon they often do that. They say, draw a Digimon and we'll put it in the show, or we'll make a Digimon from it or something.
I feel like, because we saw all those competitions.
Yeah.
We saw all the
I feel it's like that. It's like that.
I feel like they told one of their kids, like, draw a thing called Ultra Android. It's like, okay, it looks like this.
I like that. It's cute.
And Vemon says, I'm going to transform into Champion Mega Dancermon.
Because they have to link to how he wants to be a good dancer. Then something weird looking shows up. Vemon spins around and can't evolve. And I'm surprised they didn't add a line about him getting sick or something.
It looks like...
Wait, no, he's not a girl. Never mind.
It's Teddy Bearmon with more eyes and some antlers. And the wrong colour. So,
my favourite thing in the dub is when the characters are talking, but their mouths aren't moving.
It's usually the case that they've cut away from them and you hear voices from the background.
No, but this one, Vemon was on the screen and he was just... and sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes the mouths will be moving, but there'll be no sound. It's wonderful. It's a gift. It turns out that Daisuke had asked Vegemon and Numon to dress up in this skin. I'm not sure where they got the skin from, but there you go. Then Daisuke hits Vemon on the head. Okay, so it weirds me out because they only just had this conversation in which he kind of apparently realizes that he needs him to evolve. And then it turns out he'd pre-planned this so hard that they'd had time to put together a costume and get organized. Yeah. And then come in at the right point in the conversation. So he didn't actually just realize he needed Vemon to evolve for this to work out. Yeah, he already did. He'd been scheming this basically since he showed up. Yeah, that's pretty mean. And yeah, and Davis blames Vemon that it's his fault that he didn't evolve because it would have fixed things if he'd evolved. Davis seems a lot meaner to Vemon. I mean, still, Daisuke is mean, and he does hit his Digimon. And Davis doesn't hit his Digimon, this is just cut. Vemon is running after Davis because he's mad, not because he's been hit. Daisuke comes up with another plan, and he says, if I put myself in danger after he's so mad, he'll definitely evolve. They fall off the bridge, and they start gasping for air, but in the dub, Vemon's asking Davis if it's another trick, and Davis said, why would I do that, even though he just done it?
I feel like we know he did it.
He's clearly put him in danger.
Wouldn't he have just died?
Yeah.
Like, because the thing is, his plan was that Vemon had to save him.
Yep.
Since Vemon didn't save him, shouldn't he have just died?
Yeah.
So they land on the beach, and Vemon's like, he's complaining, rightfully so. He's like, just stop.
Garamon wouldn't like me more if you could digivolve.
Well, it couldn't hurt. She doesn't like you now.
Ed, that's not nice. I really wish you wouldn't rub it in.
That's so gross. Vemon's never done anything wrong. In fact, we've never seen like Vemon and
No,
Garamon
Vemon's
interact.
great. Vemon's great.
Have we even seen them interact ever?
No.
Oh, it's so weird.
It's just because of Daisuke.
I feel like did we ever get a lot of Digimon interaction in season 1? I don't think so.
No, not really.
I think that's the thing we're missing, because the Digimon have really, really distinct personalities that I think can mirror them. And we see Patamon and Garamon interact in this episode, and I would like more of that. How cool would like Tentomon and Gomamon having a conversation be? That'd be sweet.
So cute. I hope we get more of that in Tribe, like, you know, the Digimon actually talking to each other.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, because right as it stands, they're always really isolated. Like, the kids will talk to each other and the Digimon will be there.
The closest I can think of is when we get Digimon to another human interaction, which we also don't get much. In the episode in the temple with Mimi and Izzy, and they get split up. And we see Tentomon with Mimi, and I think that's still a really interesting concept.
I think so, because each Digimon has stuff to teach their kid, and then will learn stuff from their kid to teach the other kids.
Yeah.
That said, this new Tri thing coming up, we see 2 different things of Digimon interaction, which is Agumon and Garamon at the breakfast table, and Gomon and Tentomon sitting down to eat food.
I can't believe how cute
I'm
things
super
are.
looking forward to those, and I'm hoping those work out. I think in the first Tri thing, what's we call it? Biyomon and Garamon dressed up.
And then they were acting like a cat and a bird.
Yeah, and then they're at the table eating.
That was by far my favorite part.
They're always at a table eating.
That was by far my favorite part of Try.
I agree.
And I want just more of that.
They were acting like a cat and a bird, and then they were dressed up like huge weirdos.
And Palmon was wearing that hat. Oh my god, I love Palmon so much.
Garamon was wearing the big turtleneck up to her face.
Then there's a landslide, and Vemon thinks it's another trick, which is, fair enough.
It's fair.
You were just basically pushed off a cliff because of a trick, so...
And so this is where the Davis Cries Wolfmon thing comes in, and it's at this point I said to myself, oh, there is no Wolfmon.
It's a stupid name. It implies that there is a Wolfmon.
Because...
I mean, there is, but not in this season.
It's so weird that they were just, like, because every time they say Digimon's name, that's the
Digimon in that episode?
That's the Digimon they introduce.
This episode should just be called Tortomon Needs to Go to the Bathroom. Tortomon takes a leak.
I don't understand this whole episode, actually. Like, the key conflict, which we're about to get to, makes no sense whatsoever in its because of its resolution.
He's just embarrassed.
Your notes are hilarious.
What?
You're just yelling Tortomon and then in capitals, is straight up taking a wee.
Because he is. I forgot this happened.
You're just peeing, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to the toilet.
Then he gets really embarrassed.
Yeah, he rescues, he sort of just, he breaks up the boulder that's tumbling after them, and then he gets embarrassed and upset, and Vemon says, that's completely understandable. In the dub, they cut out the taking a wee, and Vemon says, oh, I think he's upset because he got hit by the rock. That Tortomon also speaks more in the dub.
They always speak more in the dub.
And again, Vemon says, is this another one of the tricks? And Davis says, no, this is actually a real problem.
And, like, unlike the Boy Who Cried Wolf, there's never, like, a situation where, like, danger arises and Vemon doesn't do anything because he doesn't believe him. At all times, he always listens. Even when he questions it, he's like, oh, yeah, this name is terrible. The arc in this episode is really stupid because Davis doesn't learn anything. There's no moral to this.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Daisuke and Vemon are running around and they see Hikari and Takadu and Tailmon and Patamon, and they just say, you can't deserve this for what you're doing, because they hear from what's happening from Numemon and Vegemon, and they're kind of like, yeah, you kind of deserve that for being so abusive to your Digimon. Then he sees Iori, who is playing kendo with the Gazimon.
He's teaching them kendo.
Yeah, but he's really cute. Daisuke asks him to help, and Iori's like, yes, I will help. Then when he sees Tortamon, he realizes that he wouldn't be able to handle him on his own, so he just leaves. In the dub, Cody says that he has to study for a test. He lies. When his episode was about, I can't lie, a lie is the worst thing I can do.
He could technically have a test to study for.
He's doing a Joe.
I mean, if that's your ship, sure, why not?
Basically, nobody will help Daisuke. Miyako says that Daisuke should just leave, and then she hides. Vemon, and when they're running up to the top of a cliff, in the dub, Vemon says, is this another trick? Davis says, do you think I'm smart enough to think of something like this? Vemon says, good point.
That's pretty good.
Everyone thinks Davis is dumb.
He's God, bad breath.
Yeah, typos. So Vemon says that Tortamon has bad breath when Tortamon's cornering him on the cliff. Daisuke says to Tortamon that he's sorry and that Tortamon should attack him after he washes his hands since he just went to the loo. In the dub, he just says, just wash your hands because I don't want to die of any germs or something afterwards.
Which is weird because, like, the go to the bathroom thing went away.
Yeah, so it's more of sort of like he's a germaphobe. Tortamon attacks forward and Vemon headbutts him. And
that
then
move is really overpowered.
In Rumble Arena, it's not.
It's so overpowered.
Yeah, but stop talking about Rumble. This is in the show.
I'm never letting it go. It's so canon.
We have to play that and like record it and like just show. Can we just show people?
Yeah, totally.
Like we'll just have a thing which is just like you can beat story mode in like less than an hour just by using V headbutt.
Oh, 100%.
It's like an awesome game.
You can do it having like almost never been touched by an enemy.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. So we should probably do that for a video because that'll be quite an interesting episode to do since you are a fighting game.
It's not a fighting game.
It's a fighting-ish game.
It's a combat game.
It's got fighting in it. It's a fight. There you fight. It's a game. Checkmate.
Call of Duty has fighting in it.
Anyway, Daisuke says evolve, and then Vemon just straight up just evolves. Just evolves. You know, not that he was abused or anything. He just evolves. Remember that time in Digimon Adventure?
I do.
When Tai says Greymon evolve. And yeah, Greymon evolves. You know what he evolves into? Big scary skull monster.
Yep.
You know, Vemon just gets, he just gets his normal evolution.
So
I think Tai was more reasonable.
I think so too, because Tai was just being courageous.
Now, also he said, okay, I'm the only one with a crest.
Yep.
I'm the only one who can save my friends from Edamon. Nobody else can. This is my responsibility.
Like he was abusing courage as a concept, but at least he was still being brave. Whereas in this case, he's just torturing Vemon, essentially so he can get a date.
Yeah, that's the worst part. He's not doing it to save his friends.
However,
yep.
This is not a mega evolution.
You mean ultimate?
This is not an ultimate evolution. This is a regular
perfect,
one.
I guess. Perfect.
So it is possible that at this level there cannot be failures because they could be functionally different, and also, at the time that he actually evolves, it's not a trick.
I still just don't think it's very nice.
Also, if he's evolving under friendship, you can't have false friendship as like a crest.
The crest of false.
Like, if we assume that Skull Greymon exists because he failed at like being purely courageous, I don't think like pure friendship is an issue.
Yeah, good point. But still, I just don't think he hit his Digimon.
That is pretty garbage.
Like, he was pretty abusive.
But Vemon tickled him once, so he deserved it.
So, ex-Vemon shows up, and his attack is, the only attack is named X-Laser, and he pushes the Blastoise over the cliff and onto the beach. In the dub, he names his other attacks as XV Kick and XV Punch, and then they drop the X for the actual attack that has an X in it, and call the X-shaped laser beam in the shape of an X coming out of the X on X-Vemon's chest, V-laser. I guess it's because it's like maybe double V's, because that makes an X, but it still pisses me off. Then Tortamon starts spinning around, and it turns out he has to wee again, but he starts laughing while he's weeing. It's weird. He washes his hand after, and the kids are covering the eyes, because like, oh no, we don't want to see that again. In the dub, they're covering their eyes because they just think he's going to attack again, and they say, oh no, I can't watch, I don't want to see him kill me.
That's right, ex-Vimon, the amazing champion you've just evolved, is scared of dying.
And then they say he's reasonable.
Courage.
And then they say he's reasonable if you talk to him. Yeah, that was really reasonable when they talked to him with the punching and the kicking and the shooting him off a cliff. That was reasonable, right?
But also, why did
talking.
Tortamon chase them the whole time? If all he needed to do was pee.
No, he was really embarrassed.
Why was he chasing them? What was he going to do? Fight them?
Good point. I think he was just grumpy. At the end, the children say Daisuke and ex-Vimon should work extra hard now because they have more power, and that's a really good point. I think that's fair enough. And it's the same in the dub, and I'm happy with that.
They didn't really address that Kari's not particularly impressed by it. Like, the whole point was to get her to like him.
Yeah, well, Patamon can evolve too. Everyone can evolve.
I know, but he never like mentioned it. He was like, "Hey, Kari, what about?" No, he just like, "Oh yeah, you do more work now."
What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
It's so bad. Every single time Vimon evolves, it is one of the worst episodes. It's so bad.
Well, at least it's consistent, right?
No, I don't want it to be consistently bad. I know as much as it sounds like I really enjoy hating what's going on, I would prefer it be good. Because I have to spend my time watching it. I had to watch this twice. That is significantly too much turtle peeing for the show I'm watching.
And how did it compare to what you thought about it in Obnoxious Synopsis?
So, I said Wolfmon be the bad guy. That was wrong, but it's not really fair, because Wolfmon doesn't exist. Not in this episode. There would be adult evolutions, no more weird ones, and that's probably true. I don't know if they're ever going to use the armor evolutions now, because if we accept that adult is just better, then armor will just go away. It should go away at this stage. If you're discovering... Because the Dark Towers don't exist anymore. The only reason Armor Evolution existed was because those were stopping normal ones. We'll see. So Crest would start showing up. No, I skipped too far ahead with that. Crest will eventually show up, though. I think that's kind of confirmed with this. I said that X-Vimon would look like a big stretched out Vimon. The two sets of arm was obviously going too far, but he is basically just a big stretched out Vimon. Just has wings as well for no reason. I said it'd be a bad episode because, well, it's a track record, really. And I said the new arc would start, which is not true, actually. The new arc has not begun yet. And neither does it with the next episode.
What rating do you think you'd give this?
That's the question.
You gave it a 4 out of 10. No, you can go into...
Yeah, I think this might be a 3. This might be worse.
I gave it a 4, but the reason I didn't give it a 3 was because the kids just ignore Daisuke.
That's kind of funny, but the problem with that is that it means they're not in the episode as much.
Yeah.
So this was an almost exclusively Daisuke-focused episode.
He already had the best reaction, because at least he
was
thought
brave.
about it.
He was really brave. And he was like, I'm going to fight whatever it is.
Why doesn't he have the crest of courage?
That's a good question.
Why doesn't he already just have all the crests?
You're right. He really should have the crest of sincerity, like 100%. He has a whole episode about not lying.
Well, that is the crest of sincerity.
He doesn't have it.
Yes, he does. In the original. It's called the crest of sincerity.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. It's on the crest of reliability later.
Yeah, no, it's a crest of reliability in the dub.
Yeah, sorry, in the dub. And purity is the other.
Yep.
Oh, it's really confusing because they mean really different things. What was I saying? That would make a lot more sense in the Japanese in the Don't Lie episode is sincerity. Yeah. Okay, right. I thought it was always reliability because they sent him out. Okay, sure. So it's a 3 out of 10. 2 points out of that is the opening, which I thought was kind of entertaining with the Digimon cheering and stuff, which was cute. And then the rest of it gets a 1 for 1 point for seeing like the building and the other kids. But Davis's entire thing was legitimately painful.
Is this the worst evolution we've ever seen in all of Digimon?
It is the worst evolution episode, yes. If you mean the worst evolution as in actually, also, X-Vimon doesn't actually do anything. He punches it off a cliff and then it just solves its own problems.
It goes wee.
X-Vimon appears to actually lose that fight. The first thing that happens after he gets vaulted is he gets knocked to the ground like a loser.
Yeah, Tortamon's happy.
Yeah, so as far as this episode goes, it's really bad. It is probably the worst evolution episode. The worst I could think of.
I'd agree.
Because it has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. At least the Vimon, I'm your friend. It introduced the 2 egg concept.
And it was also part of a plot episode with Metal Greymon.
And there was other stuff going on, yeah.
What differences did you notice, and do you think they were justified?
My notes aren't here, but mostly they took out the peeing, and Davis would just manage to somehow be even worse, which is impressive.
Without hitting his Digimon.
They took his violence out, and he was still much worse. I think because I think it might be the distinction between I want to look cool for Kari and I want to date Kari as a result of this.
Yeah.
Because one of those is like, okay, maybe you're probably overthinking it. And the other one is like, that is super disgusting and unreasonable.
Yeah, like he didn't. I'm not sure he said in the original if he wanted to date, or is it just the dub?
No, I think it was just, oh, she'll think I'm really cool.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to be seen as a cool guy.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But so that's a perception of you. Whereas in the English, he is relying on Vemon to get something from Kari.
Yeah.
It is very, very specific that he hopes that if Vemon evolves, he will get into Kari's pants, and that's really concerning.
Genesis of evil, or when a Digimon is tainted by darkness. There you go, I said it the way you like.
Thank you.
Starts
Digivice, by the way.
with Ken's parents checking in on him. In the dub, his dad says that Ken will be fine because he's strong like his mother.
I don't know why. I just get this really Russian sound when I read it there. He is strong like his mother.
And I can't remember what it said in the original, but I think it's just like, friendly words of, he'll be fine. He's been through a lot. He just needs to rest. And
he's in a coma.
Is the mother, I'm all for strong women, right? But I don't think Ken's mother is shown as being particularly strong. Most of the scenes we've seen her in, she's either been saying, "Oh, I'm so proud," or crying.
I know, but
maybe she's strong, behind all that.
A, we don't see her very often, and B, he might have an inflated sense of her because he's married to her.
Yes, like Mimi's mum's cooking, and the dad.
I still think that it's weird genetics.
Yeah, they've got weird taste.
I don't think that he loves her so much he likes it. I think he legitimately likes it. That he, if he tasted good food, he'd be like, what is this? I want, pecan pie covered in,
pizza.
I want a pecan pizza. Covered in honey. I don't know.
Ken is in bed and he's thinking about how he can find a heart. In the dub, it's mainly the same, except he's saying, everything will go back to how it was when I was a kid if I found my heart. Ken is saying how he was never a genius, and the real genius was his brother Osamu. In the dub, they also contradict something that, this bit that he says is later contradicted, because he says that his brother taught him how to blow bubbles, and his brother was really good at them, and soon he was blowing bigger bubbles than his brother. Which is weird, because later on we find out that Sam couldn't even blow one bubble.
He can. He just can't he can't complete it.
But it still doesn't sound as good with this line here. Ken also says that when he went to see the neighbours, all they would talk about was Osamu, and how other people were so jealous of his mum for having such a genius child. And it's all fair enough what she says in the original.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you have such a genius child, it's such a good kid. The English is really creepy. Can I... Yeah, you've got to hear. I want to set him up with my daughter. I want to sing at my wedding. I'd like to take photos with him. Or I want pieces of him to make clones.
Yeah. And the way it is in the original is... Remember when we had the Koshiro episode when he was at home and he was the mum was on the phone and the woman was saying, "Oh, you're so lucky to have a boy." It was like that. It was just, "Oh, you have such a good son. How come my son's terrible?" It was more genuine, but now it's all like, "I'm going to clone your child.
I'm going to make one of my own."
Dub Ken seems to think that the Digivice is his after it shows up. But in the original, he says, "Oh, it must be Osamu's, because Osamu had everything, I had nothing." In the dub, Sam's voice is really unfitting, and Sam keeps on calling Ken Kenny Boy. It bothers me, I don't know why. Also, I think it might be said that Ken and Sam have different rooms in the dub, but I'm pretty sure that they just share the bunk bed that's there.
It makes sense, because if you look at the house, I don't think there's another place for that room to be,
Yeah.
first of all. Second, why would Ken have randomly walked into his dead brother's room to use his computer? If they're probably in the same room.
Yeah.
In fact, we know that Ken has, a bunk bed, because he sleeps at the top.
Yeah. It's the same as Taichi and Hikari's.
I wonder if they still have that in, Try.
I can't remember.
They probably do.
That's really cute. Ken is worried about not being loved as much, and this is only made worse by when his mum is praising Osamu, and she says, "You're so smart and wonderful, Osamu," and then she turns around to Ken and she's like, "Oh, you're okay too, to Ken."
I feel like if she said nothing, it would have been better.
Yeah, but at least she tries. In the dub, it's just, "Oh, Ken, did you say something?"
He didn't, though.
Yeah, he didn't, but it seems like she's being a jerk. Ken says that when he was little, he wished his brother would disappear. when after the Digivice appears, Osamu puts it in a drawer, and Ken...
Well, because it doesn't work immediately. Like, the Digivice appears, he picks it up, and he's like, oh, it doesn't do anything, and he puts it away. He never even occurs to him that maybe it's not for him.
So Ken opens the drawer and tries to get at it, and it glows when he picks it up, so he goes into the computer.
There's a bit before that where Ken is like gonna try, and Osamu's like just like smacks him out of the way. He's like, "No, that's mine. That's my stuff."
And after he comes back from presumably the digital world,
that's right. Yeah.
Osamu yells at him and hits the Digivice out of his hand. And Osamu says, "No, this is mine, and you shouldn't touch other people's property."
In English, it's actually nicer, and he says like, "You could get hurt."
Yeah, he's a lot nicer in the dub.
I mean, he's like really mixed. He's like, "You could get hurt. Don't touch my stuff."
Yeah, it's... In the original, he's much more ruthless because I think it's trying to link with his behaviour to how the Digimon Emperor was.
Yeah,
just like, to Wormmon was just hitting him all the time.
It's just really weird because, like, if we're going under the impression that the Dark Seed is what made him evil, this episode seems to imply that he was never... It wasn't... Dark Seed doesn't exist in this episode. It has not existed in the season so far. It is implying that basically he became his brother. Because his brother was aggressive, he was a genius.
Yeah, I think that it was partially the Dark Seed, but also his desire to want to be his brother. So that he started looking like his brother as the Digimon Kaiser. Ken thinks that his brother hates him because he's not as good as him and not as smart as him. In the dub, it seems that Ken is angry at Sam instead of just being depressed, that he's hated. Which is unfitting because we're supposed to have Ken as this kind and gentle character who just like, oh, I'm not angry, I'm just depressed. He wishes his brother would disappear, and one day Osamu dies, and Ken blames himself.
There is a small edit here where he goes, "I wish he would disappear," and in Japanese, like, you see this like flash of Osamu be like getting hit by a car or something.
Is that removed?
Yeah, they don't.
Because I know we see a bit of it in the last episode. Not last episode, but the last one we saw.
They cut straight from "I wish you disappear" to the photo in the funeral.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
Like they take out like a couple frames, but it's gone now.
One day Ken's a bit older and he gets an email.
And so he freaks out that he gets an email. He goes, "An email for me? An email just for me?"
Because in the original, Ken believes that he's not worthy of everything. Everything's for Osamu. He's not. Nobody thinks of him. Things aren't for him. They're always for his brother.
I feel like this is a really 2002 problem. I feel like in 2010, Ken would be like, "An email for me. Grow your penis in 3 days."
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. The email says that there's another world that's better and tells him to open the drawer. Then we see that he goes to the digital world, and I'm not sure if this is the Dark Ocean or not. The dub says it is, but it's not said whether it is or not.
It's the right kind of place. It's dark, there's an ocean.
So Ken gets this evil look on his face, and he's like, "Yes, this is mine."
He just randomly puts his Digivice in the water for no reason.
And I want to reference one of my favourite posts that I've ever seen on Tumblr. And this is from Nox Ian Herald. I hope I said that right. And Liz Met, who's this Tumblr person, is also my backpack buddy. We both have Palom backpacks. Liz Met's really cool. So the post says, "An AU where Ken puts his Digivice in the water and it stops f***ing working because electronics do not go in the water, Kenneth!" I really like it. I couldn't find the one where they've edited the screenshot and he puts his Digivice in the water, and then he picks it up, and it's still the Digivice, and it has a blue screen of death on it, but I couldn't find that edit.
Like, what are you going to do? I said the kids go in the water all the time.
Yeah, but so they're presumably waterproof, but still, why would your instinct of seeing this electronic thing be to put it in the water?
Have the O2 kids ever been in the water? Just, like, dunked in water?
Davis was last
Davis was in
episode.
Why does his D-terminal still work?
Yeah, because the D-terminal's not...
It's not magic.
Yeah, it's not magic, because... Plot, I guess.
It was in the script, I guess.
So we're back to present day, and Ken's parents are saying that they were glad when Ken started doing better in school because it was like Osamu had came back, and they were worried that maybe they never considered Ken's feelings and they only considered wanting a smart child.
And it's a really weird point because, I mean, obviously they're just noticing it now because both their children have had tragedies, but his mom has this really weird line. It's like, "It was exactly when Ken became Osamu's height."
Yeah.
That's a really weird, specific reference.
I think it's because they started seeing him as Osamu and not Ken.
Yeah.
I think that was the meaning of it. They said, oh, Osamu's back, and they didn't care about Ken.
Imagine for his, like, how old is he, sorry?
He's like 11.
Well, Osamu was probably 11 when he died?
Probably.
Imagine for Ken's 11th birthday, he gets...
Happy birthday, Osamu.
No, it was just his happy birthday. It's glasses.
Yeah.
He goes, but I don't need glasses. And they go, you do.
Wear them. No, they punch it, like, they pour something, like, terrible in his eye or something.
Oh, no, God.
I got tea tree all in my eye. I was not a happy
Is
chappy
that why
this
your
morning.
eyes are broken?
No, this was this morning. Hey, it was really clean. Ken is still looking for his heart, and he remembers more about blowing bubbles. He wonders who made the water and who cut the straw. It was Osamu. We then find out that Osamu couldn't blow bubbles because he's not kind and he does it too abruptly. The dub uses the word gentle instead of kindness, but it's still kind of obvious.
I prefer kindness because, like, it's much more relevant.
And but gentle is still the same sort of thing.
Imagine if it was the crest of gentle.
But it's still linked to his crest. Like, you get the idea that he's gentle, he's kind.
I really hope that dog comes back and kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah. So Ken wakes up and he doesn't remember who his parents are or who he is, just who Osamu is. His parents apologise and they say that Ken can be whoever he wants from now on. Ken starts crying.
But he doesn't know why he's crying. He's like,
yeah.
Who are these weirdos, even though they say they're my parents?
Yeah.
Why are they crying? Why am I crying? Where is my heart gone? It's a bit much.
He's going to go to the Wizard of Digi to get the Crest of Heart.
We're off to see the wizard,
the
wonderful Wizard of Digs.
Anyway, his parents tell him not to push himself. When he goes to his computer, he sees that his Crest and D3 are both by his computer, somehow, and he remembers Wormon. His mother knocks on his door, and we see that Ken is gone again.
What an ass.
I would have told my parents to say, look, I'm going to go to the general store and get some
just make
ice cream.
an excuse. You just disappeared for like a month.
But to be fair, I don't think he's in the right frame of mind.
No, but what a dick.
Yeah. He's in the digital world looking for his heart, and he arrives at Primary Village. A Euromon recognises him and attacks him, and the Digimon are worried what he'll do to Wormon's egg if he finds them.
I really like this. I love that even babies know. Even babies know!
Well, I like the idea that the Emperor killed Digimon, right?
You think these are reborn ones that he killed?
These are reborn ones that he killed.
Oh, that's cool.
And that they were they still have the memory because of how much they were tortured.
I was going to say, like, if they have memory when they're reborn, then this guarantees that death means nothing in the digital world, like, at all.
I think it depends on who they were as a Digimon prior. Also, I'm not entirely sure if the Digimon actually are talking to him. I am under the impression that either Digimon has, like, the writers have completely stuffed up and they've forgotten their own rules, or he's hallucinating, because newborn Digimon do not talk.
Yeah, they just say the first bit of
they
their
go,
name.
Papu, Papu, Papu. We've seen when Izzy was weird and he got his crest, like he in the Mega Kabuterimon episode, when Tentomon de-evolves to Pabumon, all he says is Pabu, Pabu, Pabu.
What if all baby Digimon are just messing with all the other kids and they can actually speak fluently?
But real talk, I'm going to believe that he's hallucinating this part, because otherwise fresh baby Digimon cannot speak, and
but, like,
the
this one
writers
attacks
just
him.
forgot.
So he, even if it couldn't speak, this is exactly what it would say.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's like, if he imagined the whole thing, okay. But if the essence of it is there, then the hallucination doesn't change the core of the scene. I feel like it's more likely they just forgot.
Yeah, but still, I just want to think they're good writers. Punimon says that he only wants to find the egg so he can stop feeling bad, and then Bottomon calls him selfish.
That's fair. That's quite fair.
I love how sassy the babies are, because Punimon says,
after all you did, we're not going to welcome you back with open arms, even if we had them.
Also, I guess if you're just a baby who's just been hatched out of a digi-egg, you're really not afraid of dying, because you're just going to end up exactly where you are.
Yeah, about 2 seconds later.
Functionally immortal.
So Ken thinks that Wormon would only be the only one that's sad if he died. In the dub, he's just thinking about his hands. He's like, oh, these hands have done so much. These hands.
They call them fingers, but I've never seen them fing.
Then Punimon continues to just rip wonders.
It's too late for you now. You can't turn back time. What's done is done. You've made your bed, now lie in it. I'd go on, but I can't think of any more cliches.
The point is, you can't run away from the past. You've caused enough damage here. Why don't you crawl back under the control spire you came out of?
Nice. Good job.
This burns. Ken says the memories of Wormon will make him strong. In the dub, he says that he's only been remembering the bad memories and he needs to remember the good memories. So then he just remembers the WonderSwan games. And there's Rio. Did you enjoy the cameo of Rio?
I don't even remember what he looks like.
He's got brown hair and a blue shirt. And
I don't remember.
pants.
I don't remember when he showed up. The bit in the digital one I remember was when they were like got attacked by a Gazimon randomly.
Yeah, Rio's walking behind them.
Was he?
Yes.
What? I didn't notice at all. That's so weird. Wouldn't he have like turned to me like, "Hey Rio, what's up?" And Rio's like, "You alright?"
He's just there.
Was Agumon there?
No, just Rio.
I should have paid more attention then.
No, Rio was there. He just shows up. So Agazimon springs out, and Wormmon protects Ken from Agazimon. Wormmon warns him that he'll be overwhelmed by his own kindness. In the dub, Wormmon says, "Your gentleness and kindness will be overpowered by evil if you're not strong too."
Sorry, I need to interrupt you right now just to cover, like, what if in the last episode of Try, or the last movie, Rio shows up, and he's like a grizzled veteran, because he's like 20.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I've been doing this so much longer than you."
And he's just salty.
Didn't know, like, because like he knows about Millenniummon, he knows about
He
everything.
hasn't been doing it longer than Tai.
I thought, I guess
No,
not.
it was after. It was just a few months after they got the end of Adventure.
No, but like, the Dark Masters were nothing compared to like Millenniummon, right?
Yep.
So he's like, "You don't know."
Well, Millenniummon is a jogress between Mugendramon and Chimeramon.
Yeah, he's like, "Things are so much worse than they seem. The universe is at stake." And everyone's like, "Who are you?" He goes, "What do you mean, who am I? I'm a chosen child.
Well,
I've been doing this for years. I know about all of you.
Remember,
Tai, we've met." Tai's like, "Who are
they've met
you?"
before, but they had the memories wiped or something like that. I don't know.
No, but he has all his memories. He's like, Ken, I've met you before." And Ken's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Why don't you know me?" And he just turns to the camera and goes, "I was in the games."
And then everyone's like, "What games?" Wormmon says that the Digivice that Ken has is his, not Osamu's. Back to present day, Ken says he'll just have to live with all the horrible stuff he's done. His crest starts glowing, and then he finds Wormmon's egg. He touches it, and it becomes a bed with a Leafmon in it.
How would you feel if at the end of like Try, the very last like minute was like the camera like zoomed down and it kept zooming out, and like it turned out it was on a Vita screen, and there was like a little kid playing it, like, "Heh, I'm the Digidestined," and it turned out that all of Digimon took place in this like video game that he's playing.
I'm fine.
You're
with
cool
that.
with like none of it actually
But
happening.
I want that game.
That's true. That's fair.
I want a game to play the entirety of Digimon forever. I would be fine with that being the last piece of Digimon that ever comes out. A game where you get to play through all of Digimon. It'd be great.
Play as Izzy and make your fashion algorithm.
I just want all the WonderSwan games to come out. I just, like, for us, I just want to play it.
Swan. Wank.
Ken says thank you for being born. In the dub, he just thanks him for the second chance. Then Ken thinks, is Wormmon the only one happy that I'm here? No. And then he goes back home and he finds his parents and realizes how sad they are. And then he thanks his mum for giving birth to him.
They should really freak out that like he was gone, and he just walked out of his room. He has no good excuse for having physically disappeared.
I just think they're too happy to question it.
Of course, but if he just said like, "I'm a magician now," they'd be like, "Okay."
Ken says that he'll give his mum a second chance if she'll give him one. And then he thanks his parents for being great. And he thanks his brother too. I prefer the thank you for being born thing. It's much cuter.
Yeah, and also it's thematic.
Yeah, it's thematic because he just said that to his Digimon, but in reverse.
No, his Digimon said it to him.
No, he said it to his Digimon. He said thank you for being born.
Right, yeah,
Because he was hatched from an egg.
I forgot. I watched this like a couple hours ago.
What did you think as someone who was new to Digimon?
This is pretty good. There's like, it's telling you his story, and it's meant to be like, this is why he's evil. But there's like the exact section where he becomes evil, which is the Dark Ocean he puts the Digivice in.
Yeah.
That's the bit that needs explaining. Because he shows up, he puts it in the water, and now he's evil. But you don't know why he knew to put it in the water, why he wanted to do so, why he was happy to become evil. Also,
He already had the Darkspawn in his neck by then.
But we don't know that because the thing didn't say.
Yeah, but I think it's assuming, which is bad, it's assuming that you have played the WonderSwan
No,
games.
but we have to take the episode as it is.
Yeah.
You know, what did I think of it as someone who's never seen Digimon before? Well, this is how I see it. Now, this is the key scene, and it's a key scene that's given almost no time. And one of the big differences, which I will not talk about in the differences because I'm talking about it right now, is that in the Japanese, it's kind of like, this is mine. Yes. And it does a bit of a reflection of Osamu's thing about his possessiveness over his stuff. And you go, okay, this is kind of where it starts. And in English, he's like, "Ah, I'm super evil now."
And also, we have the Kaiser's laugh and the Kaiser talking in the dub while he's putting his Digivice in the water.
Yeah, it's like
which is weird because it's like hasn't happened
It's
yet.
immediate.
Yeah. How did it compare to what you thought in Obnoxious Synopsis?
So, it'd be Ken's backstory. Bazzow. Ryo will show up. Yes, he did.
You just didn't notice.
No, I didn't, because it was so minor. The English would tries to cut out the Wonderswan references that weren't really that... no, it did talk about the stuff, how he was around beforehand.
Yeah.
And Ryo was there, I guess. I didn't see it. The main characters would be present in the side story. No, they just didn't exist. It's weird. He didn't even think about them once.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, oh yeah, those kids, they believed in me.
They didn't, though.
He's fully self-involved. And it was the majority Ken, but it was really only him. He said it has to be good, and it was fine. I think that showing you the kind of person his brother was and who he looked up to and what shaped him into the kind of person who could be the Kaiser, that was well done. It wasn't perfect, because there is a key intermediate step of like how he became actually evil, but beyond that, I think they did a really good job, and thus, so I hope it explains in case you didn't have the Wonderswan games. No, it didn't. That's the thing. The huge part you missed was that the bit that talked about the Wonderswan game. I'm still looking for them actually talking about it. I'm really afraid they're going to hit him really hard one time. The Darkseid will fall out. They'll go, "What was that?" And he'll go, "I don't know." And then that will be the last it is ever mentioned.
Do you think if you hadn't known about the Wonderswan games and you had noticed that Ryo was there, would you say, "Who's that?"
Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
Because
I don't even remember how I reacted to it. I think I probably missed it because it's a very blink and you miss it moment.
Every new Digidestin that shows up, I go like, what are they doing? Where were they this whole time? And the thing about Ryo, and the worst thing about this one, is that he's Japanese. At least all the other Digidestin were like, oh, they were from America, so
As I
okay.
said, he's not a chosen child. He doesn't have a Digimon or a Digivice.
Then how does he get to the digital world? You can only get there if you're a chosen child.
Agumon and Genai just speak to him and say, touch the Digivice on the screen. And he touches the Digivice on the screen and he comes in.
Does he have a Digivice?
No, he borrows Taichi's because Taichi's imprisoned.
What? Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like in jail.
No, he's imprisoned by the return of all the bad guys because Millenniummon happened.
That's stupid.
So, in Obnoxious Synopsis, you gave it an 8 out of 10, 9 minus 1 point for being delayed. What do you think?
An 8 is fair. I think the minus 1 point for being delayed was a bit like, I'm not sure that was the issue. The issue is that one scene with the dark ocean or whatever it is.
They could have explained more, I think. But
that is key to the whole story.
I think they could have spent some time just explaining very briefly what happened in the Wonderswan games. Not all the details, just the details relevant to him.
Because I feel like the problem is if you ask me right now what happened in that scene, I'd go, I don't really know. I know he put it in the water. I couldn't tell you why he did it. I couldn't tell you why it changed.
What differences did you notice, and do you think they were justified?
By and large, it was just thematic differences. Like, I think that his was more inner focused. On like I think in English when he's sort of concluding, he's like, I will focus more on the good, and in that way he sort of sounds like he thinks everyone will forgive him because of his outlook, which isn't really correct.
But in the dub, it's just like, even if Wormmon's not coming back, I'm going to use the memories of him to keep me strong and to keep me good.
Yeah, and I like that. I don't know my notes on here, but I know I didn't take many notes on this episode.
There weren't that many differences except for a few,
They took out Osama getting hit by a car.
But even though they already showed that clip of him dying, No,
but he never got hit. He was already on the ground. You can show a dead body, you just can't show them getting killed.
So we had a bad episode and a good episode. In general, you think that this is an okay week?
It averages out to a 6.
Which is
well,
passable.
does it? Hold on, it's 11 divided by 2. No, it's 5.5.
It's passable.
It is just possible, because it is a quite good episode next to a terrible episode, making it bearable.
Yeah, it makes it a tolerable, which is fine. It could be worse.
I don't know what I'd prefer, a good episode first or a bad episode first.
I think bad episode first, because then you're surprised by the good episode.
Yeah.
Rather than a bad episode last, because then you just are negative.
But a bad episode first makes me go like, oh, I don't want to watch anymore.
Oh yeah, good point.
Oh, they're both terrible situations.
But you guessed it that way, so
I did. You're right.
You basically stayed with your numbers.
Hey, do you know who's a good character? Ken. So his episode's good. You know who's a crap character?
Davis. So his episode's bad.
Well, there you go.
The Digimon that were introduced in this episode, what do you think about them? So we had Tortamon.
He's fine. He's just Bowser.
I like him. XVmon.
I think X-Digimon looks really good.
He flies. Davis finally has a flying Digimon.
Except he can't really ride it. Oh, no, he can. He can sit on his shoulder. Yeah. So X-Digimon looks exactly like... It's a perfect evolution. Not the level perfect.
Yeah,
but it's a perfectly done evolution.
Lowercase p.
It is just it getting bigger. In the same way that Agumon turned into Greymon, it's just it getting bigger, and it makes a lot of sense, and it works. It's not this weird, like, I'm an armadillo, now I'm a submarine. Like, I prefer that this way.
Well, that's just how evolutions are, because they don't have something else that's strapping onto them.
Which is why Gardemon's was the weirdest. Because it makes no sense.
And same with Patamon.
Patamon turning into an angel's really dumb too. But at least the angel turns into another angel. Not into a dragon.
Yeah. What about Leafmon?
Is that...
I'll give you a hint, it's a leaf.
Is that...
It has a pink nose. Wormmon's baby.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Wormmon's baby thing. I remember in my notes very distinctly, I wrote just... it has a leaf face. It's cute, I guess.
I like it.
It looks a lot like Palmon's baby version, I guess. Just in the leaf and it's green.
It should be Leafmon should be Palmon's baby form instead of the.
They're both
I guess
applicable.
The seed makes sense though.
They're both very applicable. Yeah. It doesn't make sense that a flower turns into a cactus though.
And then turns into another flower.
So no, a thing with vines turns into a cactus.
And then turns into a flower.
A flower fairy.
Yeah, and then turns into a rose with whips with thorns.
At least it has a pink flower thing its whole time. All it sounds like its head. At least that's applicable. Alright everybody, join us for the next episode of Prince of Strido. If I Had a Tail Hammer.
Or Armored Ankylomon of the Earth.
And Spirit Needle.
Or Night of the Skies, Aquilamon. The show notes will be linked in the description, and thanks to our wonderful loyal Patreons, Sophie Patamon, who you can follow on Twitter, Wu Qinglong, who has a Twitch channel, Metal Mimimon, Joe, Thunder, Penguin Mage, Anime Guy, who has a YouTube channel, Chuckmon and Sam Krieger. You can find links to all their things in the show notes as well. And see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye everybody.
Bye-bye.